Morning, Bill. Sound good? Wheels up on sound? All right. Well, happy Monday. Good to be with everybody. So speaking of happy Monday, today we're going to talk about happiness. And it seems like it would be a pretty simple topic, right? Um, and how do what is it? How do we maintain it? Kind of what isn't it, right? So we'll get into this, and please make sure chat in as frequently as you'd like, because when everybody chats in, it's a lot more fun, and we really get to explore things at a much deeper level. So it'll be kind of a short call this morning, so feel free. We'll have to chat in because we'll have plenty of time afterwards. So happiness is an inside job, and I think we've talked about this before. That external things really don't bring us happiness. It's really how we find our own happiness on the inside. And what are the things that we do? How do we be in alignment, right? And how do we find the things that we're aligned with that make us happy, right? And so at the end, we're going to talk about a strategy that I was taught that I think will be helpful. But so we have to understand that happiness is an inside job. It's really not an outside job. We take our fulfillment from the activities and the thoughts and the outcomes that make us joyful. And I think it's always interesting, right? How we manage our highs and our lows. If we want to be in a joyful state, then we have to manage our highs and lows, right? Because if we're too high, that's not really happiness. And of course, if we're too low, well, that's typically not happiness either. And it's that state in between. And how do we manage ourselves, manage our energy, and manage the things around us so that we stay in that middle state where real happiness lives, right? So like we know if there's a high, there's going to be a low. Like we know that. Like we see it in our kids, right? And we see it with people around us. And so it's that space in between where we're happy, we're joyful, it's sustainable. We're not living in this kind of temporary, exuberant mindset where everything is okay, right? And when everything's okay, we tend to overcommit. We tend to commit to things that we're in this kind of exuberant state, and it can last for days. It doesn't just last for minutes, right? So we can get into these like super highs, and we overcommit, because what happens is we lose kind of our objectivity. So that's what happens when we get into those high conditions, those high states. Is when we overcommit. We tend to minimize the realities of things, which then leads us to either not be aware of everything around us or not understand the magnitude of things around us. Now, the same is true when we're in a low. Now, we all know what a low is, right? So when we're in a low, well, nothing's right, and there will be no end to it, and I can't accomplish anything, or this will never work, or the language that goes around it. It's always, never's in there a lot, right? When we're hitting a low, but that's not. And lows can last for a while too, right? Lows can last for a few days, weeks, months, and can last a long time for some people. And but that's not a natural condition either. So our highs and our lows are neither really natural conditions. They're not the optimal conditions for us to operate in. And there's this balanced place that's sustainable and objective, and kind of pure and really of pure joy. That's that middle condition, okay? That middle space where we're happy, we're joyful, we're not so over the top exuberant that we're going to make some mistakes, or maybe make decisions that need to be adjusted later, and we're not in that low condition where we're missing opportunities, and that we're not showing up the best that we can be for the people around us, including ourselves. And in some studies, it's called the middle pillar, right? It's kind of the, if you follow like your chakra system, you're really riding in the middle of your energy. Okay. And again, it's not that you don't feel joy, and it's not that you don't maybe feel sadness or anger. Okay. It's just that you haven't become it. Okay. So like the joy hasn't kicked into overdrive, and the afterburners have kicked in. And you're so joyful somebody could drop a 25-pound weight on your foot, and you're like, oh, so what? Right? Or the other side of it is, you're in such a low where somebody gives you $1 million and you're mad at them because you got to pay the taxes on it. Okay. Right. And so it's that middle space. And it's kind of an art, really, to be able to be in that center space all the time and have your energy be balanced. Okay. And that's really what you're looking for. You're looking for your energy to be balanced. You don't want it, you don't want it in such extremes, right? Because one extreme always leads to another. And so you want to find that kind of middle pillar is what they call it in Kabbalah. But you want to find your middle space where you're joyful, but you're balanced, and you can sustain it energetically because you're not going to tire yourself out, right? That's what happens. Like when we get these these super highs and lows, like they're exhausting. Like who wants that? And so how do we stay in that objectivity? And in that objectivity, we still feel, we still feel the love, we still feel the excitement, we still feel the enthusiasm and the gratitude, but we're not completely so overwhelmed by it that we've kind of spun off into our own orbit. And so you think about it as being in your kind of being in your center space, right? And how do you manage your energy? And I think a while back, one of the tools I've used for myself is I always think about my energy as like a construction level. And we've talked about this before, but if I'm at zero bubble with my, if my construction level, if the bubble and the level is in the middle, that's a great place for me. And that's how I always kind of judge where I am, right? If I'm tilted one way or the other, the bubble goes up, the bubble goes down, I'm out of alignment. How do I put the bubble back into alignment? And how do I feel it? And it's funny how you can visualize things. There, I always kind of visualize that, oh, okay, I'm in alignment today, right? Some days I'm not. But more often than not, if you work at it, you can be, where that you found that middle space. And if you can spend more time living in that middle space, then your energy is smoother. It's more sustainable. You can be more objective about things. So you can have something maybe that you wish hadn't happened could happen, but it doesn't get you down. You're objective about it. You're like, oh, okay, all right, well, we got to work our way through this. Or maybe there's an opportunity with it. With every event becomes opportunity, right? So it's really not about whether things are good or bad. It's about, well, what's the outcome that can stem from whatever the event is. And then being in that middle space, that allows you that objectivity, right? And I think what you find is, for me, I found myself to be more in the moment when I have found that middle space. When I'm more centered, my joy is more joyful, because I'm balanced and I can enjoy it longer. It's almost like kind of savoring it. So, think about, and I didn't put the graphic in here about the construction level, but you can take a look at this road example. There's this balanced, happy place. You find out, it's kind of different for everybody. So think about what it might be for you. It might be a visual. It might be a beach that you might look at and you might say, where I'm in balance when I'm at the beach, or I'm in balance, mentally, or I'm in balance in whatever my happy place is. For me, I use the visual of the level, and it's, or you might consider it like if you're looking at an airplane, airplane wings, right? Are you up or are you down, right? So it can be different things for different people, but I think you know what I'm talking about. and try to find that visual. Now, there's also, and this is what we're going to end with, there's also the 15-minute rule. And I won't get into um, how I came about this, but it was helpful for me, and I still find it helpful, is not to do anything that's going to make you happy for 15 minutes, all right? Like the bar is going to be greater than 15 minutes. So for instance, like let's just say, we'll just use diet for, right? So let's just say that you've got a health goal and you want to be at a certain weight, and you're someplace where, let's say, desserts being offered, and you're thinking about it. Well, how long, like, do I do this or not? Right? That's always the temptation. And so when you're thinking about it, think about, well, how long is having that piece of cake with maybe the ice cream on it, of course, because who would want to have cake without ice cream? How long is that going to make me happy for? Measure the time. 5 minutes? Like, how long is it going to take you to eat that piece of cake? Because when it's done, you're going to feel guilty, right? And so, think about, for me, it was a 15-minute rule. I had a energetic youth, so the 15-minute rule was pretty helpful for me. And but as we move into adulthood, think about what you're doing, even the small things, because they all roll up to the big things. Like, well, how long? Like if I make this break from really what I want, what my goal is, how long is this going to make me happy for? And don't get me wrong, like everybody needs a cheat day. Everybody, right? We shouldn't deny ourselves certain things, right? You can't have a healthy, sustainable, life if you're constantly living in by denying yourself things. But if you have a certain goal, or if you or something maybe not might feel good in the moment, but you're not quite sure, just do a measurement on it. Like, how long is this going to make me feel good for? I could tell you some mornings where I really don't want to get up and go to the gym. Like, I kind of know I only feel good for that 10 or 15 minutes after I've decided not to get up. And then after that, I actually really don't ever go back to sleep. And then when I wake up, I don't, or when I decide to get out of bed, I'm not fully, my battery is not fully charged the way it would be if I had got up and stuck with my routine. So think about the 15-minute rule. It could be a 5-minute rule, it could be a 7-minute rule, but think about it in terms of time. How long is what I'm going to do going to make me happy? And it's a fun exercise to do, because it gives you a little bit of perspective into your own thinking, and it helps you measure things, right? Because those things that we try to measure like that, they don't really bring us happiness in most cases. And I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to drop that in here, was to kind of put some perspective around, how long, like when we do things, what we want is sustainable happiness, not just kind of like the momentary happiness. And then, because when we get into those highs and those lows, those are all very temporary. So just wanted to leave you with that. So let's just see how we're doing for chats here. Doesn't seem like we have any today. Okay, well, we'll leave it there then. So good to be with everybody, and have a great week. And be mindful of our highs and our lows, right? We want to stay in the center. All right. Take care.